Go talk to the money people that can help you execute that strategy. Even if you have the money, I would still use a hard money lender.
Yeah.
As a person to work with.
Yeah.
I call hard money free mentoring. Meaning it's the reason why is because a hard money lender is not going to lend you money unless they can get their money back.
So Nick, thanks for being on the show, man.
Oh, anytime, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of like round 2 since the file was originally corrupted. So.
All good, man. Things are gonna break, but I'm available for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you're a busy guy. So we're here today at the Central New Jersey Investors Expo, and you got a lot of things going on today. Very busy. So really appreciate your time here.
Yeah.
So for our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
So a lot of people don't know my story.
Yeah.
But I'm not like who you think I am today. When I was younger, I was like who I am today. I was an opposite person. I was antisocial. I was shy. I had a very low. I still have a very low vocabulary. Like I have a 5th grade vocabulary. I never really learned how to read, write, and I had major ADD. I'm autistic, all this stuff, and as crazy as it is, as weird as I was, or as disabled in a way as I was, one of the things I didn't know was that I couldn't do anything I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like whatever I felt like I wanted to do, I was gonna go out and do it.
Yeah.
And I was always able to pull it off, and so I never was afraid to dream. And one idea leads to another, and next thing you know, I'm in real estate. Next thing you know, I'm doing the largest real estate events, in New Jersey, New York, and PA for what it is that we do.
Right.
And I was only able to do it because I didn't know that I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you didn't know that you had these limitations.
Yeah. I didn't even know I knew I didn't know how to read well, but it never stopped me from reading the book I wanted to read. As long as it took.
Yeah, no, it's definitely awesome. That's definitely got to be part of your upbringing. Like, I'm assuming your parents were very supportive or something like that as well.
Yeah, I think the secret to success has a lot to do with who we are, and if we have the right parents to help us build a frame from the very beginning, it gets us there even faster.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mention that because when I was growing up, my weakest subject was always science. And I remember one time, I looked at an old report card, maybe like a year ago. My mom was like, "Oh no, sweetie, you did fantastic in all your grades." And then when I look, it's like C- or something.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
So I didn't know my own limitation there.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got better. So
that's what it is, man. It's so you had the parents that really understood what was important.
Exactly.
And it wasn't the grade. It was your belief that you were doing good.
Yes, definitely. So, okay, you took what those, quote unquote limitations, and you brought them into real estate. But how'd you get started in real estate? Like, what got you into that?
Okay, so my background is came over here through by boat. I make fun of, we all make fun of fobs, the word fobs, fresh off the boat, but I really came off the boat, And when I came to America, I was just focused on learning English. My dad, he didn't want me to play video games a lot because that was what I was into. And he's like, "Hey, why don't I teach you how to do programming so you can make your own video games?" I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool," So I was like, "Let's do this." And then so I learned how to program. And once I learned how to program, I was like, "Okay, I can do this. I can make video games and all this stuff." And then my dad was like, "Why don't you learn how to make money with it?" And I'm like, "Well, what's money? I don't even know." But he's like, "Look, if you learn how to do this, you can make a lot of money, and then you can buy whatever you want to buy and all that stuff." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds awesome." And so I was like, how do you make money? He told me I gotta go get clients. And so he taught me how to do advertising.
Yeah.
And when I did advertising, all I did was I just handed out flyers saying that I can do your website for you. Eventually somebody called me up. I was still living in my apartment. My parents, not my apartment, my parents' 1-bedroom apartment at that time. And I was programming at the school. There was no computer at the house.
And how old were you at that time?
Like 14, 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I was living in an apartment. I walked everywhere, and I biked everywhere. I walked to this appointment. This guy was he was an architect, and I showed up with like yellow neon pants. I was a little kid, you know. If you see my son Ethan, I look exactly like him. I showed up, I sat there, and he's like, "You're the guy I'm having a meeting with?" I'm like, "Yeah, you called me, right?" He's like, "Yeah," and then he gave me the job just to see if I could do it. I was able to do it. A month later, he gave me a check. I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "This is what you do. Like, this is how I pay you." I'm like, "Okay." And then I brought it home. I gave it to my dad. It was like around like the holiday season, and my parents were like, "How'd you get this check?" And I was like, "I did this website for this guy, and he paid me." And my parents like, "Okay." And we were still living in an apartment where my parents are paying like $600 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment in Morristown.
Yeah.
And I think the guy paid me like $2,000 for that website.
Oh, wow.
And so but like I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's how I got into business. And then as I grew older, I tried to become a bigger programmer. I lost interest, and then I started trying to be cool. I was really antisocial, so I wanted to like overcome my fear of talking to girls.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, if I hang out with the cool guys, they're always around girls, and then they can teach me how to talk to girls. And so I started hanging out with them, but they have to like also accept me in, you know?
Yeah.
Because I look like Steve Urkel, okay? Like I dressed like the Asian Steve Urkel back then. And they're like, dude, like, we gotta change how you dress, you know? So they started dressing me up in a way they thought was good. And the funniest story is there was this girl that liked me a lot. And I would go out on dates with her, but I would never kiss her. And I would never ask her to go out with me, like official. Like we went on to see a movie, but I never asked her to be my girlfriend.
Right.
And so she's like, he's not interested in me. All right, and so she left after a period, and it broke my heart.
Yeah,
you know,
devastating.
That's how shy I was, right? And then eventually I met this girl who chased after me, and a girl chasing after me was the opposite of anything I've ever experienced, and so I thought she was playing a prank on me, and so I ran from her. But she really liked me. Yeah. And she didn't give it up. She kept chasing after me day after day after day, and she got me. And I ended up going out with her as my first girlfriend. But my point here is like that's how shy I was. That's how different I was. And after meeting her, I started a bigger company. I got into doing parties eventually. Yep. Not that I like to party. It's just that my friends like to party. Yeah. And I was like, oh, we always go out to party every week. So why don't I make some money with it? You know. Or I was like, wait, we can rent a party. We can rent the club and throw and charge admission. Why don't we do that? And I ended up making like $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 a night. Wow. Yeah. Just throwing a party, you know. And I was like, this is a lot of money. What else can I do with this? And then I started doing car shows. You know, renting a convention center is really crazy. Like you would think it's like hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. It's not. Yeah. Depending on where it is, it's like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. That's it. Based on 100,000 to 200,000 square feet.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you would never know that unless you called them. Right? Like if you called the Madison Square Garden, it's $1 million a day. I called them. Okay. You know, whoa. But I also called every convention center. Yeah. You know, and because I made that call, I found a convention that was affordable. I rented it out and I packed it, and I did a car show there. Yeah. And it was a bigger, more grand, more profitable event than my party business. Yeah. Plus, I was into cars, not partying. You know. Yeah. But so I went from partying to car shows. Once I did that for a period, I was like, okay, let's go national. You know, let's go into like 5 states, 7 states. and eventually, like as what happens is as you make more money in anything, you become like very ego driven, where like, oh, you know it all, it's not gonna fail, and you start making bets that are like over leveraging yourself. And so I did that, and I made a bet where I was growing too fast, and because I was growing too fast, I became careless, and because I became careless, I lost all my money.
Oh my god.
And it didn't happen until I was 23. And so from 18 or 17, graduating high school, I never went to school. I never went to college.
Right.
Because I was making so much money throwing parties and car shows that I was like, why go to college?
Yeah.
You know? But when I lost all my money, I was like, I gotta go to college. Because all my parents ever wanted me to do was to go to college and have a job and all this stuff. And so because I lost my money and their money, it's the least I could do.
Right.
And when I was in college, I met a friend who had ADD, and I used to race him down behind Rutgers University in our like cheap cars because we had no money, you know?
Yeah.
And I told him I used to be a successful like entrepreneur,
Yeah,
you know?
right, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, right.
yeah. And
Who are you?
Yeah, and he's like, I see your car, you know what I mean? And I was, he was telling me he was investing in real estate with no money, and I'm like, yeah, right. So he's thinking, yeah, right to me about being a successful entrepreneur, and I'm saying to him, yeah, right, you can invest in real estate with no money.
Right.
You know, so we both didn't believe each other.
Yeah.
You know, but 6 months later, he was buying a brand new G35. Oof. We were racing, and like I remember his beat up car.
Yeah.
6 months ago, and then 6 months later, it was a brand new G35. He used to live with his mom, and then 6 months later, he's living in a luxury apartment. And I was like, something happened here, you know?
Yeah.
What he said, it was probably real.
Yeah.
You know, and because of that, I should probably go give it a shot. And I'm a type of guy where I believe if you can do it, I can do it.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know? And it's just that I have to believe that you did it, you know, or be aware that you did it.
Right.
And because I'm aware he did it, I was like, I'm gonna go out and do this. And so I went out and gave it a shot. And I didn't have that much money, so I went to the bookstore, Borders, Barnes & Noble. I would sit there, read as much as I can, as slow as I was reading, as low of vocabulary I had. I stuck there, I sat there, and I was able to figure it out. And because I couldn't read fast, that's probably why I learned the way I learned. Because I didn't read fast, I couldn't read the whole book.
Yeah. So you
So I only read the chapter that I needed to execute.
I see.
Wow.
I didn't even know that.
You just made a self-realization.
Yeah. So, like, because if I was to do marketing, I would only read that because I couldn't read the whole book in time.
Yeah.
By the time I read the whole book, I'm either out of the business or I lost business or it's like a year later.
Yeah. Or you forgot the business.
Yeah. And so I could only read as fast as I could read and because of that, I could only read like one chapter, you know, and I would read the marketing chapter, and then I would read how to talk to homeowner chapter, but I would only get to that chapter once those calls came in,
Right.
you know, and then once those calls came in, afterwards I would get into how to meet with the homeowner, how to set up appointments, things like that, you know, and that's what I did, and so I pretty much went out and put up banner signs because that's what my friend did. And then once I got those calls coming, I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So I read that chapter. And once I read that chapter, I would call back to homeowners, talk to them how I talked to them, set up the appointment. Read that chapter, talk what to do at the appointment.
Right. What's the next step?
And then read the chapter, how to put them on a contract, read that chapter. That's how I got into the business. That's how I learned the business.
Wow.
And I will tell you, you know, that's how I got into real estate, but I will also tell you there's a big secret under all this. And the big secret is that everybody's reading the whole book and then executing. But by the time they read it, they forgot the first step.
Yeah.
Whereas I did not go on to the next chapter until the chapter prior was executed.
Oh, wow.
And that was not because I was a genius. It was because I couldn't read fast enough. That's the realization I just made right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's really crazy. I know when you got started, we spoke about this offline a while back. You saw your friend, and your friend told you to post bandit signs.
Yeah.
I know
you have
you have a funny story with that.
Yeah, so the funny story is that so I decided I was going to get into real estate. I saw my friend successful. I decided I was going to get into it, and I did exactly what my friend did. I didn't try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a guy that tries to think like, I am a guy that thinks I'm smarter. And so I didn't change the fact how he did marketing, like how he got his first deal. He told me that he was going out putting bandit signs out at night, right, to get phone calls from motivated sellers, and his signs would say like, "We buy houses."
Yeah.
If you ever seen them, you see them because they work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I thought I was smarter than my friend, and so I was like, it was also during the winter, so I was like, I'm gonna buy these signs, I'm gonna leave them in my house, and I'm gonna go and put them out at night in the winter during a winter storm, because during a winter storm no one's gonna be out, you know. So I waited till a big storm came, like it was supposed to be like a foot of snow out. I was like, this is perfect. Storm came, I waited for the snow to hit like 3 inches, 4 inches, and then I started going out. It was dead, like there's no way out.
Yeah.
First sign I put up was in front of Walmart, because Walmart gets a lot of traffic. That's why I wanted to put the sign there. Second sign was in front of a gas station, and when you go out and put these signs, I read up a lot on how to put these signs up.
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about is like you want to put them high, right? Because when it's low, someone can just walk by and hit it off,
Just remove it. Yeah.
or someone can drive by and hit it off. But if it's too high, they can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was gonna make sure all my signs were really high, and so I also had a ladder, right? And so I had this ladder. I parked next to this pole. This is my second sign. Took the ladder out, put it against the pole, climbed up the ladder. This is during a winter storm. There's now probably 5 inches of snow out. It's cold. It's middle of the night. It's pitch dark. As I was nailing my second sign, a police officer out of nowhere pulled up. Out of all the cars, it was a police officer. He pulled up right next to me, and he's like, "Son, what are you doing?" And I told him, "Officer," like I didn't know what else to say. I said, "Officer, I was taking the sign down." And he looked at me, and I didn't know what else to do, and I was like going through the motions of putting the sign down and going down this ladder and putting my ladder in my car. All right. And he's like, "Get out of here, go home." All right. And as I put my stuff away, put the ladder in the car, closed the trunk, got in the car, I thought I was out of business.
Yeah. Second
This is
sign.
the second out of 100 signs I bought. I thought I was out of business. Come on, let's think about it, guys. Like, I was supposed to put up 100 of these signs. I was highly motivated, highly excited. Second sign.
Yeah.
You
already got caught.
I already got caught, you know?
It's over.
And I was like, I'm out of business. I'm just gonna hang it up, you know?
Yeah.
I called Trang. She was my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, "Hey, I'm out of business. I don't want to do this anymore." I was like, "Oh, those signs I bought? Well, it's during winter storm. It's the middle of the night, I was putting these things up. I got caught by the police. Second sign. I'm gonna get caught again. Probably 2 signs." She's like, "That's so funny." She cracked up, and she was like, "No, you gotta put them up. Put them up anyway. Do whatever it takes, and
just do it.
Just do it." And I did it. But I became like a ninja, like I wasn't parking my car next to the pole anymore. I would park my car somewhere as turn it off. I would then sneak up against the pole. Had the ladder, it took forever. But out of those 100 signs, I got 150 phone calls. Wow. I met so many people. The craziest part is if I just knew like all the strategies, like how to execute all the stuff that I know how to execute today,
Yeah.
I would have made so much more money off of those just 100 signs. Okay, but even with how much I didn't know, I was still able to make money, because you don't really know what a motivated seller is until you actually meet one. Like you can read the books, but they're like, a motivated seller is a person that highly motivated to sell, blah blah blah. They're willing to sell you whatever price. That's not just it.
Yeah.
It's they're willing. They're not just that, but they're begging you to buy their house. They're begging you. They're like, "Joey, can you just take my house? Joey, can you just buy my house? And so it's not just they're motivated. They're in a level where they're begging you.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't even have money. I didn't have money. I didn't even have know-how, but because they were so motivated that they were like, look, I believe you can figure it out.
Yeah.
I believe you can buy this house. You know, like even though you have no money, I believe you can figure out how to get the money.
Yeah, no, I believe that because like I remember my first deal was actually a short sale too, and the homeowner, like I'm pretty confident that I did not look confident or sound confident about what I was talking about, but she still believed me. Like just their situation, yeah, they need to get out of it. So it's just kind of crazy what people don't realize in those situations, that they're actually really hoping that you're gonna perform.
Yeah.
Kind of waiting for their, like, you're their savior.
You're their hero.
That's it.
They're knight in armor. Yeah. And I will tell you, my first homeowner I talked to, I made sure I was dressed up. You know, I made sure I drive the nicest car that my parents had. You know, I would show up, look like I was $1 million. You know.
Yeah.
But one of the things he said to me, he was like, "Hey, you look really young, but you know what? I believe you can do it. I believe." No, he said, "You know what? I have nothing to lose." All right, and I already tried doing it with someone way older than you, and he couldn't do it. I got nothing to lose giving you the shot. So I'll sell you the house, whatever price you want. And I ended up buying. It was a short sale. I got it for like 85. No, not 85. 150,000. My first offer was 85. I got it for 115. Sold it for 165, and made 50,000 off.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And how long? When was this? Like what year roughly?
2007, probably December 2007. It's either December 2007 or December 2018. It's one or two. And
2008, you mean?
8. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, 2008. And it was during December because that's when it snows. And it took about, like, as soon as I started marketing, it took about 3 to 4 months until I did my first deal.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it took me 3 months to put up the 100 signs. Okay. And then once I got them all out there, they were calling like crazy. Yeah, and it was a lot faster than you would think.
You did it around what, like Jersey City area?
No, I lived at that time in Stanhope, New Jersey.
Oh.
Okay, that's in Sussex County. Mm-hmm. And like, there's no competition there, guys. You know what I mean? It's very competitive here. Over there's no competition.
Yeah.
And because there's no competition, if you're doing marketing, you're like the only guy doing marketing. You know? Yeah. And so there's deals on the MLS, but off the MLS, there's no one after them. And so I was like the only guy, and I would get stuff so cheap because of it.
Yeah. There's probably still nobody doing it now.
Yeah, exactly. In the hottest market, in the hottest time in the real estate market right now, there's still nobody there.
Yeah.
And so during a bad market, can you think about that?
Right.
Oh God. You're
flooded.
Yeah. You're flooded.
Yes. So you did that. What other type of deals did you get into over the years? Like how did you end up getting into kind of the event space?
Okay, so I've always been in the event space.
Right.
It's just that so after I did my first deal, I started finding out that there's these things called like real estate clubs.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know about real estate clubs. And so I found out about it, and then I started going to them, and then I went to them, and they were like teaching me all this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I remember telling Trang, I'm gonna be speaking in front of the stage in like the next like few years. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, I ended up doing that. What happened was after I did my first deal, I was getting a lot more deals, but at the same time, when I was doing my first deal was a short sale. And short sales was like a new thing at that time. And so I told my friends that was already successful, hey dude, you got any short sales? Give it to me, I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And then so he gives me some, and then I would say, wow, I just got all these deals without doing any marketing, without even being with homeowners. You know what? Why don't I just tell everybody I know? You know, hey, you got short sales, let me do them.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, I had a ton of short sales to do. And so all I had to do was just process it and get it done, and then they would give me 50% of the profit. And then what happened was I kept that up. I was not doing marketing anymore because I thought that this was way easier, way less work.
Yeah.
And I started teaming up with a guy who was a real estate guru. And because he was a guru, he had a following. Because he had a following, that following was producing leads for him.
Yeah.
And he was a short sale guru. And so that was perfect for me because I was a short sale guy.
Yep.
So I work with a short sale guru. He generates the deals, he gives it to me, and I do the work. And after working with him for a period, and he would invite me up to be like the loss mitigator during the loss mitigation segment and all that stuff. And I had major stage fright, you know. But when you speak as a panelist and they're asking you questions, it's easy.
Yes.
But if I did a solo, I couldn't do it. But so I wasn't doing the solo. I was doing the Q&A stuff. And eventually I found out that the guy that was teaching, the guru, he actually didn't know what he was doing. He was just an entrepreneur that knew how to surround himself with the people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And because they know what they're doing, he in essence knows what he's doing. But I asked him straight out one day, I was like, hey, Dave, did you ever do a short sale? And he's like, no. But if I had to, I could figure it out.
Yeah.
And so after hearing that from him, I was like, I was talking to my friend. My friend was like, Nick, this guy's never done a short sale. And he's the guru getting paid $10,000 for mentoring, $1,000 for classes.
Yeah.
And you're not getting any of that, but you're doing all the processing. And then when you guys get approval, you're splitting it again like a bunch of ways. Why are you doing this? That's what he asked me.
Okay.
You know, and I thought about it, and he's like, yo, you gotta put this guy out of business. You gotta start teaching. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna start teaching. And so I did it. I gave it a shot. I always knew how to pack events. At least I thought I did. And so I did marketing to do a short sale event. The first one I only had like 8 people show up, right? I was scared because I always had stage fright. I had to take a drink before I got on stage. I'm not a drinker. Even though I did parties, I didn't drink at the parties. Yeah. And if my friends give me a drink, what I do is I drink, but I don't really swallow. I go to the bathroom, I dump it, I come back. I drank the bottle, you know. Yeah, so I had to get buzzed to get on stage to speak. And my first event, 8 people showed up, 8 people signed up, $1,000 per person.
Wow.
And I was like, I'll partner with you guys. Like whatever deal, I'm gonna show you guys how to get deals, and then whatever deals you guys got, I'll partner with you. I'll process it for you, and it grew from that into, you know, a really big company. I did over 170. I signed up 175,000 students my first year. Wow. So that's $175,000. You know, just from the classes alone. But then we had deals from like. Statistics is like probably 5% of anybody that signs up for anything is successful. Mm-hmm. So 5% of the 175, we ended up making a lot of money with. You know, like we were wholesaling deals, we were making like $50,000, $100,000. Like the spread was $100,000, and we would split that. And so it grew to something really big. But then after a period, what happens is like I didn't want to be known as just a short sale guy anymore. Mm-hmm. I wanted to become like a guy that you could work with for anything. And so I stopped focusing on being a short sale guru and instead being like just a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I started trying to rechange my name to wholesaling. I didn't know how to do fix and flips at the time, but I transitioned it into wholesaling. And then, because I was wholesaling short sales too. Right. And I was wholesaling normal houses. And so I eventually then did a mentoring on wholesaling. And then in that mentoring, I met my rehabber, who was Randy. Right. Mm-hmm. And he was the guy I partnered with to do rehabs, fix and flips. So that's how I got from short sales into wholesaling, into rehabbing, and then eventually buying homes. So that's my story of how I got into real estate.
Wow.
The biggest life-changing thing for me through that whole experience was that up until I was up until I met my friend that did real estate investing with no money, I thought that everything required money.
Right.
But after I met my friend and ran into that perspective, as much as I didn't believe him, but once I saw his life change, I believed it was real. And because I believed it was real, I realized something in life. And that is, there's always two extremes to everything. Meaning, you can do something with money or you can do something without. They're both possible. It's just that we might only know how to do it with money. And so we don't think the other one is real. But the guy that believes it's real will figure out the other game. And the guy that figures out that other game actually knows how to do both games. Whereas the guy that only knows how to make money with money only knows one game.
Right.
Exactly. It just, if you figured out how to do it without money, eventually when you do have money, it just makes it so much easier.
Exactly. It's like when you need it, you can play with it. But if you don't ever need it, you know, it's there. So it's like a higher level game. And so what I'm trying to say is it's as if like I had to lose all my money. I had to go through that state of life for 2 years. Feel what it's like, know what it's like, be in a position where I felt like the world ended. But what really was going on was the universe was showing me, or was trying to show me, hey buddy, there's another way. But you won't believe this way is real unless you lost all your money. And because I was introduced to it, now I do everything with no money.
Right.
You know, like I try to figure out how to use other people's money 100% of the time. Because worst case, I always have my money to play with. But if I don't have to touch my money at all, that's how I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's powerful.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can't lose money if you didn't put any up.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
But you can if you put money up. So it's like it's a way higher level game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we always try to do that even now with the
Now,
deals
but
we
I
do.
think when we first met, you weren't like that yet.
No,
right?
no. When we first met, I didn't do that because I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't even know that reality
Yeah,
existed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
I didn't even know that existed.
Right.
You know, and then once I knew, I was like, is this real? You know, so once you know it exists, the question now is it real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, and then if you meet enough people that's doing it, you're like, this is real. They're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what? Then I'm gonna give it a shot. So like one of the things I do now is like, I don't question if something is real anymore. Meaning, I don't try to wait to find out if it's real or not. I instead, like whatever you say, I believe it's real. I'm aware that I might not know how to do it yet, but I don't question that it's not possible. Because it's just not possible because we haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But someone else did. And because they did, they figured it out. But I don't want to wait to meet that person to believe, meaning I don't want to wait to meet him to then believe that it's real. I now believe it's real without meeting him.
Right.
And because of that, my brain automatically is constantly trying to figure it out. You guys what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because if you have to meet that person to believe it's real, it's almost like, what if that never happens? Then you would never even put in an effort to figure it out.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't want to wait for that anymore.
Sorry, fly.
No problem.
Yeah. So getting back to the whole event space.
Oh, okay, yes.
How did you grow? Basically, how did you grow the event to what it is now? Right. It's basically the largest real estate event in northern New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, New Jersey, New York, and PA.
Yeah. So I've been going to events. Once I discovered the event space, I went to it. You know. And one of the biggest things about the event space is this: they're either outdated, meaning they're ran by people that have done the business like 30 years ago and they're really not doing it today, or they're ran by people that bring out gurus, and these gurus are people that are flying in from like out of country, out of state, or not out of the state. They're gonna teach us how to do our business here, but they don't do it here; they do it out of state.
Right.
You know, and I was like, there's a disconnect here. You know. What they're teaching us is a real strategy, but does it work here? And so, and I don't believe it does. I don't believe every strategy works in every state.
Right. Yeah,
But
of course.
I believe every strategy works in the right place, right town, right environment. But every strategy doesn't work in every marketplace.
Yeah.
And so I started to realize, like, so who would know the strategies that work in our own backyard?
Right.
It's people that are doing it in our own backyard.
Yeah.
And so I made an effort to figure out who those people are, and I invite those people out to my events. And I don't bring out gurus from out of state, and I don't allow anyone to sell at the stage. So that way when people are coming out to the events, they're like, hey, I'm learning from people that are doing it in my own backyard, and I'm not getting it sold anything.
Yeah.
Well, what better event to go to than the Nick's event?
Right.
And so that's our magic formula. Our magic formula is we invite people that are local to come out and teach us how to do what they're doing. And because it connects with people, it grew, and it grew big.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think for me, one of the original reason I came to your event was because of the economics of it, right?
Yeah.
Because it was actually affordable for someone who was starting out
Right.
as a new investor, who didn't want to put in like thousands of dollars to get to the event. So for me, that it was that,
Right.
Initially. Yeah.
So what you're talking about is so typically when you go to a real estate event, if it's a free event,
Yeah.
they're gonna like sell you something for like $1,000.
Right. Exactly.
And that's not our model, right?
Right.
Because when you go to those events and you go to so many of them, you're like, are they gonna sell me at the end? They probably are, because the admission is so cheap or it's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
That's why our events we write things on there, no upselling, right? We'll write, and then our admission is like $5. So we make our admission really cheap. The reason why it's cheap is because you don't know who we are. We don't know who you are, and because of that, we can't expect you to pay a lot, because you don't even know who we are to be paying a lot for something. So we make it really cheap, and because it's so cheap, and we say like there's no upselling and all this stuff, people give it a shot.
Yep.
And when they come out and they give it a shot, we make sure the event performs really well. We make sure that it connects with them, and because it connects with them, they'll sign up to become a member. All right, but if it doesn't connect with them, there's no obligation to become a member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And based on what we see, people like that. We're not pressure selling people. We invite you to come out cheap, so that way we can win you over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's pretty
Makes sense.
neat.
So I think we should probably be wrapping up a little bit. So, like one of the last questions we like to ask all of our guests is like, what best piece of advice you would give to a newbie or someone just getting started in real estate, and why?
So for a newbie real estate investor or a person that's getting started, I recommend coming out to my events and coming out to other people's events, and just getting yourself submerged in the space and meeting people that are doing the business around your area. If you're local to me, then come out to my events, because you're gonna meet all locals, and from there just join a club. It doesn't have to be mine; it can be anybody's club, and just sit there for just go to their events for 3 months, 6 months, so that way you get introduced to all different type of strategies that exist.
Right.
Because one of those strategies is gonna connect with you. Meaning, you want to get into real estate, but you might not know what strategy you want to start with, and so you want to sit in a bunch of different sessions to see what strategy connects with you. Once you identify the strategy, from there, get educated on as much as you can, but at the same time, go talk to the money people that can help you execute that strategy. Even if you have the money, I would still use a hard money lender as a person to work with.
Yeah.
I call hard money free mentoring. Meaning it's the reason why is because a hard money lender is not going to lend you money unless they can get their money back.
Right,
And
of course.
because of that, they're going to audit the deal. They're going to tell you if it's good or bad. And so, sure, you have the money, you'll save money on
Interest.
but who's to say you're not buying correctly, who's to say, your numbers, the person giving you the appraisal is doing it all wrong, so it actually ends up being more expensive using your money to get started. And so use a hard money lender. And then the other thing is, if you don't have money, as long as you have a job, there's hard money lenders that will give you 100% money to execute.
Yeah.
And so the excuse of not having money is not really an acceptable excuse. These lenders exist. There was one of them here tonight at the event, or today at the event. Come out to our event. Well, you should do 2-3 more. But my point is that attend a real estate club meeting. Sit there, like spend time there for 3-6 months. You don't have to rush to get started. And identify a strategy that you like, and once you do, talk to the lenders that can help you, that can watch your back, will help you execute and get that property. And talk to the president of the club, talk to the guys that are the panelists, see if you can even team up with them, as another way of having someone to watch your back and get started. But you don't have to get started immediately. You can take 6 months, you can take a year.
Yeah.
It's not about getting started, it's more about getting started accurately. And so that would be my advice.
Yeah, I think it took me about a year of going to different events before I even submitted offers or anything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely true.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it took me, I went to events for 2 years before I even joined yours, and I hadn't done any deals prior.
Yeah.
Well, I actually did a different type of deal.
Yeah.
But not fix and flip until I actually joined your club.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, it really, put me into a whole new level, I guess.
A whole new paradigm.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing is, what kind of books? I know you read and you listen to a lot of books.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you do podcasts as well. What are your favorite? What are your like 1 or 2 favorite books that you're kind of like into right now?
Okay. So my favorite book is my first favorite book is probably Knowing Myself. Meaning like it's a book that asks me questions about myself, because I feel that everybody's always looking for a strategy or whatever, but they don't know who they are. And what I mean by knowing who you are is, like, I never woke up early. Okay, I'm irresponsible. I'm lazy, and all those characteristics are characteristics that, in a way, you like it's like represents a person that's not gonna be successful. And for a long time I believed that, but because I don't wake up early, that's why I had to create a business to not go to work because I'm lazy, that's why I got other people to work for me.
And and you figured out ways to do things quicker.
Yeah. And so everything that was the characteristics of being a bad, unsuccessful person, if you believe those things are real, and that's how you're, like, if you believe that, you're not going to be successful because of those characteristics, then you're not going to be successful. But if you believe that you're supposed to be this way because you're supposed to figure out another way to execute, you're going to figure that out. And once you do, you can still be exactly who you are and be super successful. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, I like books that ask me questions about who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And am I really an issue, or am I really just not taking advantage of reality correctly? And because of that, I'm an issue. Being lazy is an issue if you're not doing something. But being lazy and having employees do stuff for you, it allows you to be lazy. Yeah. And so I like books like that ask me those kind of questions. So some books like that are The 4 Agreements. That book is one of my favorite books because it asks you questions like, hey, is your reality even your reality? Meaning the sandwich you eat, the coffee you drink. Did you try every coffee? Did you eat every sandwich to know that this is the sandwich you like? You didn't.
Yeah.
instead your mom or dad bought or made you this sandwich and you ended up liking it, and because of that you like this and that you call this your sandwich, but it's really not even your sandwich, it's your mom or dad's sandwich. Right?
Yeah.
And so I like books like that. So Four Agreements, Untethered Soul, the what is it, I forgot this experiment, I forgot what the book called, but I'll get it for you guys. It's books that ask you about who you really are. So those are my favorite books. And then comes the business books. You know, the book. So I read Untethered Soul once a year. I read The Alchemist once a year. Those are in the same basket. The Alchemist is one of my favorite books. And then another basket I would read are like business books, like Built to Sell. That book talks about how to build a business so you don't have to work in it. Okay. Another book is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Sure.
Like, and the thing is, these are probably 4 books that I just named: Alchemist, Untethered Soul, Four Agreements, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Built to Sell. There are 4 books or 5 books I read every year. And you're like, why would you read the same book every year? And the reason I read other books too. But I make a handful of books that I read over and over every year. And the reason why is because I believe if you read the same book, but you don't get something out of it, it's not, the book didn't change. It's you. You didn't grow. Because you didn't grow, you don't see a different value out of the same message, out of the same book. Okay? And so because I read every year, and because I keep seeing it change and keep growing, I know I'm growing.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So how can people get in touch with you or the club on social media?
Yeah, so if you can friend me on Facebook, friend me. That's probably the best way to contact me.
Okay.
You can also go to nicktang.com. There, once you're there, you go to you have access to all my other websites and all things like that. Or if you're in New Jersey, come down to New Jersey spelled out. The letter R, the letter E, the letter I, the letter A stands for RIA. So NewJerseyRIA.com. You go to New York. If you're in New York, go to NewYorkRIA.com. New York spelled out. And if you're in Philadelphia, come out to Philadelphia. And we have events that are pretty much in all 3 states. We're gonna be expanding next year. And when you're there, say hi and ask me, tell me how I can help you, and I'll be glad to if I see you.
Yeah, you were helpful to me. When I first met you. So
Same.
Yeah.
You've definitely brought a lot of value into my life, so I appreciate that.
Same here.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank you for being one of my mentors, one of my best friends, and and thank you for being on the show, man.
Anytime,
Same.
bro.
Yeah. Thank you.
And as always, we like to thank Alpha Funding Solutions for sponsoring the show. So take care, everyone.
Thank you.